Good evening, and you're here with Zemrah and my co-host, which is my better half, Ed. And we are so happy to be here at IntellectualRadio.com.
Yes, we are.
Joining you this nice, chilly Tuesday evening. And we decided to information to you about young people and having babies having babies, and how you need to really and truly be prepared. So we're going to talk a little bit about life, and are you prepared? Are you really, really capable of bringing another life into this world, especially with the conditions and the way the world is today? It is so many things that you need to understand and prepare for when, coming into parenthood. So we decided to talk a little bit about that because it is very, very important that when you bring a child in the world, which is another life that you are responsible for, that you understand and know the very essence of what you're getting yourself into. So we want to talk a little bit about babies having babies, but really and truly having that preparation. So I wanted to start out by just saying that, if you're not, first of all, if you're not ready to have children, then you should wait and use proper measures if you are going to have sex. It's just simple as that. And you really want to have, if you really want to have children, we understand that definitely that is a life's plan, and it's something that you really should prepare again and plan for. It is all about preparation, and you have to prepare yourselves for that partnership in parenting, and prepare for children so they can have a meaningful and satisfying life. I think that's very, very important. I was talking to Herbania, and she's getting ready to have Eric. Yeah, and Eric is getting ready to have a baby girl, him and his wife.
Eric is her son.
Yes. And she's been knitting and preparing. And I was just thinking and saying how you look at some children, just like with Brenda's daughter.
Another friend of ours.
Yeah. Elon, how excited she was about having a baby.
Elon's her daughter.
Brenda's daughter.
Yeah,
Brenda.
Our listening audience doesn't know who Brenda is.
Yeah, well, it's. I'm talking and using a couple of examples who are friends of ours.
Okay.
But anyway, the point of it is that I'm trying to make, Mr. Sherman, is that how some children are so fortunate to be born into this world because the parents have prepared, they're excited, the grandparents have prepared because their young adults are having children in a prepared state. They prepared to have this child. They didn't just do it where it was a mistake. They didn't do it. I mean, they wanted to have children, and they really and truly are going to be able to take care of the children, and just the excitement, because children are a blessing. They can be a blessing if you raise them right once you have them, and if you prepare properly to have them. And so I think that's very important. So one of the things that it's when you're ready to be a parent, first of all, you have to understand, do you love yourself? For the most part.
That's a good question. That's a good start.
Yeah. And then, are you mature enough? Are you really and truly that responsible adult? Are you just doing something? And then the partner that you are with, we talked a little bit about that on the way in. Is he kind? Is he loving? Is he committed to being that father or that mother? It's either or. I mean, you want to, it's the female, it's also the male, because you want to make sure that the woman that you with wants to be a mother. one day, or the male, the man, does he want to be a father? Because that is something that you just don't wake up one morning and become, you know, unless you understand the
Sometimes
importance.
that's basically just the way it is. You wake up one morning and you become.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying that needs to. I think that's why there's so many babies raising babies, and they're not really and truly ready for it. And then um, that commitment. That commitment to being a good parent. We know that you're going to always have obstacles in life. Things come up that you don't necessarily expect. But if you have that commitment, you know, you wade through issues, you wade through problems, and things. And then, is the child going to have a safe and loving home? Important. You see some of these children on the street, and you just, it's sometimes I have just, it's brought tears to my eyes because I just say, wow, it's, you know, I have to say my daughter had six children. I had her, and she had six. And through it all, through obstacles and a lot of things she went through, and I have to say it, and that's my child. But she was a wonderful, wonderful parent, a wonderful mother, and she has six wonderful children. I mean, you know, and that's not to say that they have not made errors and mistakes. They still make them, but she was a good, loving mother because that's what she really wanted to be. She wanted to be a mom, and that's what she is today. Even though her children are fully grown, she looks at them and still, those are my babies.
Hmm.
And I think that's important. So, um, you know, do you really have the means
Well,
to take care of your children in a proper way?
I don't. Most of the children I think that are born today are not planned like that. Um, it's not a deliberate thing because most of the children are born out of wedlock and to the different girlfriends and a family that they just are about. They just because they're, they're having children, but they're children themselves.
That's what I'm saying. Babies having babies.
So they need to connect themselves with some adults in the extended family. Because when you have a child, there should be uncles and cousins and some other adults around to share some wisdom and some experience with that child. Because the parent doesn't have that because they're only what 18, 19, 17 sometimes.
Yeah, and then sometimes there really isn't necessarily an example.
Well, that's what you.
Sometimes the nephews, cousins, uncles, or whatever, they have not necessarily, or aunts even, they have not really and truly been that example. And I think sometimes that's where they get off track at because they don't really and truly have that necessary example
Well,
because they didn't have kids and out of wedlock and
children belong to the culture. They belong to the what you might say the village. They belong to the community.
well, we always say that, you know, raising, you know, it takes a village to raise, and we go back, but that's back in the day. You don't find that anymore.
Well, you
So
don't find it because, but that does not make it still true. It's still needed.
yeah,
It,
it's
it
needed.
does take one, but you might not have one, but it still takes that. No matter how young you are or what your particular family situation is, there's still going to be a need for other adults to contribute to that child's life, even if it's only for a short period of time. They need the image of some other adult to share some experiences with them so they have something to go by, even if they don't have those type of extended members in their family, like uncles and brothers and things like that. So therefore, the children need that whether they get it or not, but they should be able to, the parents should seek that on purpose and say, well, look, I got a son, I'm not married, but he needs a male image somewhere along the line. Spend time with my uncle, my brother, or my grandfather. And same thing with girls. They should be mentored by someone else in the family of your choosing that has an image that you would like that child to have
Hmm.
outside the parents, because other people have a different influence on your child than the parent does.
And sometimes that's the case. I totally agree with that. And then you want to, one of the things that I was saying too is that you really, when you have children, you really need to have the real means to be able to provide and take care of their upbringing without necessarily relying. Now, you know, grandparents are going to always come do this and do that because that's what grandparents do. You get some aunts and uncles that, you know, just cherish their nieces or nephews, or just like my born Clarence Jr.,
Mm.
CJ. That was my baby. I used to call him Little Wookiees. That was my baby. Every time I went to the store, I was buying him something.
Well, little Wookie
So,
right now is like 6'6" and 250.
yeah, it's still my baby though. But anyway, and then do you have the energy and the time and the love to raise a child
I would
right?
say love. Children don't require much. They require food, clothing, shelter. But if they have the love, they can kind of do without some of the other things, as long as they have that. So if you love a child, you don't have to. I don't have to tell you what to do for them if you actually love your children.
Oh, it'll be natural.
It'll be a natural thing. You protect them. You try to prepare them for life without you. Most parents don't do that. They prepare a child so they can take care of them for the rest of their life,
Yeah,
which
unfortunate.
is unfortunately,
Yeah.
they could be 30, 40, 50 years old. They still, that's my child, whatever they want. But you actually hinder a child by giving them too much assistance. Sometimes you have to let the child walk on their own,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
which is hard for a mother to do. Fellas don't have that much of a problem with that because they understand it. But mothers hate to see their children suffer
Hmm.
or have a need of something that they can provide because they always have the need to want to go out and provide it for them.
Hmm.
But sometimes that hinders a child from learning how to fend for themselves. They can't do it if you're always giving them what they need
No, you're always giving them what they want.
or
You should
giving what
always provide what
giving
they
what they
need.
giving what they want. But after they should be raised to the point to let them understand that a lot of things that you in life you're gonna have to start learning how to give it yourself because you can't teach your children until you learn.
Hmm.
So in order for you to learn, I have to teach you. It might be tough love,
And I have done that.
then, but I still understand that it's not for me. It's for me to teach you. So I don't have to feel good about it, but I do have to do it.
Because I think some of the tough love um, that I did with Maria,
Administered.
yeah, administered, excellent word. I think it really made her the woman that she is today,
It
and I
did.
think she's
It did.
a great young lady. I'm real
Children will
proud
tell
of
you
her.
that later on when they get older, they will say, that tough love you gave me by not giving me what I wanted and refusing to give in, I learned from that.
And
They will
she
tell you
did.
that years later.
She has told me
At the
that.
time, they will, they'll be all angry and stuff because you didn't get what they wanted. But later on in life, they will tell you, I learned from that and I appreciate what you did because if you had not denied me that, I would not have learned how to get it myself.
It is too sometimes when children tend to be feel that sense of entitlement. They feel like this is what you're supposed to do. I think that sometimes you do have to let them know that all I really and truly have to do is make sure that you're loved, that I have the energy to take care of you, that I provide a nice home for you, and that I make sure that you grow to be that independent young lady or young man that that I can be, that you can feel good about yourself. It's always good when a parent can look at their child that they've raised and say, wow, I am so proud. Because just like with Ashley, I know Clarence and Tina, are so very proud of her. I know I am.
Your brother's daughter.
Yeah,
Your
my
niece.
brother's daughter, who is my niece, and she's just a dynamic young lady. She really is.
Yeah, she really is.
So tell us just a little bit about, like, when you were talking about um, your life as a kid, coming up, and how you, well, yeah, but how you really and truly became the man that you are today. I mean, like, some of the things that you went through, son.
Well, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but no,
Like, I think one of the things that when you graduate, I mean, the fact that when you graduated and how you were really by yourself,
yeah.
and which really was phenomenal, that you still went through all of that, because when your mom picked up and moved away, then you said you wasn't leaving your friends and leaving school and going through all of that. Ed decided to go head on, and you got a couple of jobs, and just share a little bit of that.
Well, I grew up in the 50s, so it's been a while,
Hmm.
and it was a very rough time for me. But I had the good part was I had a mother and father in my life, and my father was always there most of the time. The bad part was my father was always there.
Okay.
So I was kind of raised by uh, a country guy, a warrior. Man, he didn't believe in missing words.
Or he could miss warrior on
Or he
you.
missed words or punishment, and he and he didn't say anything twice. And what he said is what he meant, and he had no problem enforcing it, even when maybe it wasn't your fault. You still got punished for it because he felt like it.
Hmm. Well, that's what they did back
But
then.
what it taught me was one thing. One thing he really taught me, and I don't know if he did this by mistake or he said, "Look, let me tell you one thing. Let nobody disrespect you."
Well, he did that on purpose. He taught you that.
Right. And then he proceeded to disrespect me. So he wanted to see how long it would take me to rebel against that and stand up on my own.
Oh,
And the
that's it.
day I did, that's the day he left. He left me alone.
And so
Other
what?
than that, he other than that, he'd abused me until I couldn't take it anymore. And then I told him, I says, I don't think that's right. I'm not taking this. He says, I didn't do it. I don't deserve the punishment. I don't care what you do to me. I'm not doing it. And that's the day he figured, now you understand what I'm trying to tell you. He's don't care who they are, even me. Let nobody disrespect you or your family. And there are certain things you have to protect with your life. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not willing to live.
Mhm.
I was like, really? He said, yeah, think about it. If you're not willing to protect the family that you're building, you don't deserve that family.
That makes sense.
And every man has to understand that when he gets married or have children, that you are the protector of that household. Let no one come in between it
Mhm.
at the risk of their own health. And by him, he meant every word he said.
So, do you think that he was, although he taught you to not let any man disrespect you, do you feel that he was respectful to his children?
No.
Okay.
His thing was, don't be like me.
So that's what you really got out of it.
That's what he would say. I know I say one thing and I do another, but you don't do what I do. Later in life, that he had reasons for the way he was. Everyone else,
That's what I was thinking. Say most people do.
if you like everyone else, if you examine the reasons why people do things and you examine the experiences that they went through in life, you would understand their motivation for them being the way they are. Affected the way they are today is about the experiences that they had in life. He had some very bad experiences in his life growing up. And that made him angry and frustrated and a lot of other things. So I understand why he became alcoholic. So when I was younger, I was angry. I said, oh, one day I grew up, I'm going to get him back for that. But after I studied him, I understood that there was a reason why he did what he did. And in that way, I learned that everyone has that same problem. They have the same trait, the same similar experiences that made them the way they are. And it's not personal.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not personal against you. It's just the fact this is what my life has taught me, and this is the way I respond, and I have not learned how to process that information yet.
That's why it's important. That's why it takes us back to what I'm saying as far as a person being prepared when they have children and understand that you can't live your life through them. You can't hold things against them because of what you've gone through. And some people tend to do that.
Yes.
They kind of take it out. Well, my parents did this, so this is what I'm going to do. So they become harder on their children. They become resentful. That's why it's important for you to understand that when you bring another life into the world, you have to understand really what you're doing.
Well, it's your responsibility. It's something that I don't think we take serious enough. Don't take it serious enough. Teachers don't take it serious enough that everything that happens in that child's life, they listen to. They listen to and they emulate that.
Exactly.
And they repeat it. Mm-hmm. So that's why when I was growing up, my grandmother, grandfather, uncles, aunts, there's certain things they would not talk about around children. I hear people today say anything around their children.
Oh my goodness, curse, everything else. That's why you have to be a good. You also have to be a role model.
But you have to
too.
be aware of what you're doing. This
Right.
is not something that they don't understand. My kids ain't listening. Yes, they do.
Oh, absolutely.
There's really nothing that children does not hear.
Mm-hmm.
They may pretend like they're playing, but they hear everything you do and everything you say.
And I don't care how young they are.
And I don't care, especially they can be 2,
mm-hmm.
1. They never forget anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're not aware that you are raising a human being, and everything that you say and do affects that human being. Somewhere down the line, then you affect the whole life of that human being.
That's right.
And make them the person they will someday be.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do that on purpose and understand everything you do affects them.
That's right. That's why a child's soul is not expecting a perfect situation, but it does want a promising start on this earth. Exactly. As they journey on, they want to feel comfortable in their own skin, and you have to start that out when they're really in the womb. When I think a lot of children, they come out smart, sort of old school, because the mother nurtured that child while it was in her womb.
Well, children are brilliant. You can teach a child anything. You can teach a children mathematics because they remember it, because they're in the learning stages of their life.
Yeah.
By the time they get to high school, they could be ready for getting out of college if you teach them right, because they can learn anything.
Oh, absolutely.
But we dumb them down. By the time they hit high school, they get out of high school, they don't know anything. They don't expect anything. He said, "This is it. This is all you got for me."
Yeah.
That's the attitude. This is all I'm do all day long.
I think that's why our fighter, our MMA fighter, Emmanuel, was great in school, but he got our grandson, but he got a little bored because he was kind of old school. Kind of I'd say an intelligent child, mind-wise.
Well, you need to expect more from your children. When you expect things from them, you expect the best from them. They even love it when you discipline them. That lets them know you really care. That lets them know that you are listening. Let me do anything I want to do. Because if you do, that means you don't care for me.
Yeah. And a couple of her kids, they like Mario. Mario, he wanted to be reprimanded. He wanted to be whooped if he did something wrong.
Right.
He was the kind of child that really wanted to be.
He wanted some direction.
Yes.
And every child wants something direct. I need to know what the boundaries are.
Yes.
So I would test them all.
Yes.
So somebody tells me to stop. No, you cannot do that. That is not good for you.
That's right.
This will get you killed. Don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for someone to care enough to tell them
Yes.
what they cannot do.
That's right.
And that's the only way to care for a child, let them know you love them, is to just to guide them and
Yes.
tell them what they need to do.
And if they need disciplining, that doesn't mean that you don't care or love them. But again, that's all about the preparation for bringing a life into this world of so much confusion and.
Well, this message is basically for mothers, because I see a lot of single moms with sons and little boys. And your job is not to be that child's best friend, which a lot of mothers try to be. I don't want to make him angry. I want to try to give him everything he wants, give him what he needs and let him do what he wants to do because it keeps him happy. Your job is not to be their friend. Your job is to be their parent, which means you are the first teacher that they know. That you have to instruct them whether they like it or not.
That's right.
For them, that's what you need to do. And that is your role as a parent. And a lot of young mothers I know, they don't accept that role as that parent because they don't want the responsibility. And they don't want to be witness to any failures. So they just give them what they want whenever they want it. And expect the best.
That's why we say
but they don't prepare for it.
That's why we talk about preparation. And when you're going to be, when you want to be a parent, you have to prepare for that. And right about now, we are here at Intellectual Radio. Here's The Life with Zemrah. And we know that everything must change. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everything must change. 'Cause nothing or no one goes unchanged. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold. But that's the way of these times. Yes, everyone and everything's got to change. For there are not many things right here in this life that we can be so very sure, except raindrops from the clouds. The sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds they fly. Now winter turns to spring. A wounded heart must heal, but never much too soon. Yes, everyone and everything's got to change. The young become the old, and mysteries do, all mysteries they unfold. But that's the way raindrops from the clouds, and the sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds, they fly. Every little thing must change. You and me, we've got to change. Well, well, well. Every little thing must change. We all must change. This world must change. Everything must. So you're back here at IntellectualRadio.com, joining Zemrah and Ed, who is my better half and my host. And we know that everything has to change, and it must change. There's so much going on, but we've been talking about in preparation for young people that want to parent, and the process that you should go through. And when we are happy with the state of our life and relationships and who we are, then we can build and nurture and raise children a lot easier. When you're comfortable and knowing who you are, that's more or less what we're talking about, is knowing and being comfortable with who you are and having confidence in the fact of parenting, because there is no real there is no real book. They might have a book with general information in it, but to come from within. And that's why I think it's so important when you prepare to have children, and don't just do something to be doing something.
You got a pretty good book right there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about. But I'm talking
about.
Yours? Well, this is a kind of a spiritual book, The Meaning of Life.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying, as far as you can read as many books as you want, but as far as I'm concerned, becoming a parent has to come from within. So if you really and truly want to have a child, bring another life in the world, you need to be prepared to nurture and love your child properly.
Or if you're doing the thing that produces a child, you should expect that something might happen.
Yeah, if you're not preparing, is protection. Protecting yourself and having a child at the really and truly once you become married.
Which is one of the main purposes of sex, is to procreate and have children. So if you're going to do that, make sure somebody that you don't mind having your child.
If you're not protecting yourself.
If you're not protecting yourself, this person may have your child. And do you really want that? Sometimes we don't ask ourselves questions because we don't want to hear the answers. Something you should think about.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, that you have to make sure that the mate that you have, or the person that you're dealing with, that they are loving, that they're compassionate, that they would really and truly be and make a good mother or a good father.
Right. If they might not be, if they meet your qualifications.
Yeah.
Or do you have any qualifications?
And that you should always have when you're talking about bringing another life in the world. And I really I'm stressing this because I see so many children that it just makes my heart so sad, because I'm saying, what are they doing?
They're being cheated.
The guys with their pants hanging down, and you just look at them and you just wonder, what are you doing? And that's somebody's child. Who is directing them? Where is this coming from? And I know that probably other hosts have talked about that. We haven't really spoke on that, but that's something that just does not make even bad sense, as my mom used to say. But we just, our fervent prayer is that in life you understand that to bring another life in the world is not something that you just take lightly, because it is something that is very, very serious, because you're bringing and responsible for another life. You look around and you just, they're actually, it absolutely is a thing where babies are trying to raise babies, and it just does
Or
not
babies are
make
raising
sense.
themselves.
And that's another sad thing. Babies trying to raise themselves. But the conditions that these children live in, meaning again that you did not prepare for them to have a safe and loving and comfortable home. And these children are just out here just doing all kind of things, getting caught up in drugs, don't understand about, being in school, and just all the
Hmm.
shootings and all of the tragic things that have been happening with our children, and it all comes into being because there was no preparation for having these children.
Yeah, you must explain to your children that they are our future, and they are the ones who have the solutions to the world problems in their heads if
Yeah.
they're presented with it. Um, I proposed the other day. I was thinking about all the shootings, and whatnot. I said, what would happen if murder was outlawed and that no one had a gun? You'd have a stun gun or something where you could never kill anyone. You could stop a person, but nobody would ever die.
Hmm.
And we were talking about that with a friend of mine. And I said, then the gun manufacturer would be upset. But I said, look, then you would have the right to make the stun gun, so you can make money off of that. Since only certain people in this world are allowed to profit from pain.
Hmm.
That's their motto, that they must profit from pain. So they initiate pain so they can profit from it. So pain is a process. I can understand the pain if you want to profit from that, but not at the cost of somebody's life, not
Hmm.
at killing them, taking away their choices. So why not come up with a device where guns are illegal, but you can have a stun gun that will stop a person in their tracks, or paralyzing, like in the movies, the ray gun or something. But
But
nobody,
why does it have to be a weapon at all?
it shouldn't. But we had to graduate to that because the world is not going to allow you to eliminate their weapons. They will have a baby with a blue striped hat on if you try to take away their guns. They think that guns give them a certain amount of security to protect them from the evils of the world. Okay, take away the evils of the world. You won't need the gun.
Yeah.
But in the process, it gives you something where you don't kill anyone.
I know Maria was sharing with me this morning about this young man that is going around in Lansing and robbing and hurting older people.
He's hoping someone catches him.
Yeah.
He's hoping he gets caught.
And just to think, I mean, he's older, but again, that's someone's child, and you wonder, so what life did they what life did they live? What what causes people to do the things they do? And like you said, what about your dad?
Mhm.
How after you got older and you really and truly studied and understood, and I guess through maybe some other things that he said, but again, it goes right back to how children are raised and what puts them on the path that they go. It's just terrible.
Most of the things that happen in a person's life happen when they're young.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
So they must learn how to,
Not to let that define their life.
right, and to forgive the person who they think have done them wrong or caused them to have this experience. Because it's not incumbent upon that person to apologize, but it is incumbent upon you to forgive that person, not for them. It has nothing to do with them. You do it for yourself,
Oh, absolutely.
so that that
And we say
anger,
that all
that
the time.
negativity does not ruin your life.
Hmm.
Because if you throw mud on anybody, you're gonna get it all over your hands. So everything that you're holding in you affects you mainly.
Hmm.
So you
Yes.
must let that go. That's what forgiveness is for. It's for the person, so that you can continue your life and you can grow out of that and continue on with life in a positive manner. So that's something that that's very difficult for people. If you do me wrong, I got to figure out a way to get back at you. But you should forgive that person. Let any type of negativity, let it go. No matter who's it geared toward, you should let it go and continue on with your life. So that is your purpose. That is your goal in life, is to do what you were sent here to do
Hmm.
and complete that task above all other things.
Yeah, so I think it's important to be ready before you decide to have children. Just be emotionally ready, be know who you are, and know yourself, and know the mate or the young man or young woman that you uh, want to have a child by, whether on purpose or
Well,
by
it's
accident.
not the child. It's young people, when they get to a certain age, they have the urge for sex. They don't have a children in mind, but they must understand that that is the process by which you have children, and that having a child is a possibility, and that
Hmm.
it's not. And you should think about that. A lot of people don't want to think about what they call a negative side, but you must think about the reality of an action.
Oh,
To and for
absolutely.
every action, there's a reaction,
That's right.
and the possibility is always there.
Hmm.
And it's going to be incumbent upon you to understand that no matter what age you are, that I'll put the responsibility off on my parents or my grandparents, or they'll take care of the child. No, that's part of what your life is going to be about, is making sure that child gets what they need, even if you had to ask somebody else to get it from them.
Yeah, because I'm a firm believer that it's as grandparents, great grandparents, it's wonderful
Did you say
to.
great, great? Were we great, great, great?
No, I said as grandparents and great grandparents. I'm saying that it's wonderful to assist and to wherever you can. We get all excited about those are my grandkids or whatever. But if you have them, I think you should be equipped to take care of them,
Well,
because grandparents
see,
and parents, like we've said before, it's here's to life. And as we say, as long as you can walk, talk, and breathe, we keep it moving, because we're not the grandparents back when my mom and dad and your mom and dad was coming up. We're
yeah,
old school when
yeah.
it comes to having that certain class, certain, what am I trying to
I don't know.
say?
Okay, drop the kids off
No,
and keep going.
no. But we're old school when it comes to certain principles, integrity, and get your education and all of that. But I am a firm believer that you can't have no built-in babysitter with me.
No,
You just can't, because we have our own lives that we're living. And if you chose to have a bunch
no.
of kids, then, and I think
I,
grandparents should understand that and not allow your children to, put that burden on you. I don't.
well, this is a guilt trip that children are really good at. They love to use it. You understand
Okay.
how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So, and most parents give into it.
Mm-hmm.
But once a child understands that you up on that and you're not going to tolerate that, then they start to listen to you. So your main job is to get your children to listen to you, because you can't
Yes.
teach them anything if they don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to listen if you keep doing anything they want you to do. They'll just
Mm-hmm.
keep using that as an excuse.
Oh, yes.
So you must learn how to distinguish between what they want and what they really need.
Yes. And that's what we say to young people. If you
Okay.
have children now, that's what we say. You have to learn to
Well,
distinguish what they
our
want
job
and
is
what they
not.
need.
Yeah, our job is to teach. If you're a grandparent or
Well, we
great
always say
grandparent,
that.
you still your job is to teach them and help them, sometimes, but not be responsible for everything. You should teach a child the way it must go. And when they get older, they won't depart from it. That doesn't mean they're not going to do wrong or do something else, but they will not forget what you said. They can't
Yeah.
say nobody told me if they don't do it.
Well, I think you teach your children, and then they should learn, the way to go for teaching their own children.
Well,
If you become a parent, that's why I am stressing today, because I've encountered a few situations. I say today that you need, if you're going to have children, you need to prepare loving, safe, consistent home life for them,
So the sisters would be there, but
household.
the responsibility would be theirs.
Yes,
There
and
you
that's
go.
that's what we stress. So on that note,
Hmm.
we are here at IntellectualRadio.com, loving and thanking again the producer, Mr. Earl Winfrey, giving us the opportunity to share our thoughts and feelings today here
Hmm.
at IntellectualRadio.com. Here's the life with
Everything,
Zemrah.
everything you always wanted to know, but afraid to ask, is right here.
Hey. I hear the sax man coming. I hear the sax man blowing, blowing all over this town. Blow, blow, yeah. Listen to the sax man. Hear what he plays. Listen to the sax man. Just take you away. Listen to the sax man blowing. Blow, 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 blow. Ooh, have mercy. I hear the sax man coming. I hear the sax man blowing. So we're back here at Intellectual Radio, and our time is winding down. This hour goes by fast, but it always goes by fast when you're having fun and talking about good stuff. One of the things I want you to do is make sure that you go to Zemrah.com, and if you have any questions or any concerns or any show ideas, I'd
Oh,
appreciate it.
comments.
And also go to www.supportzemrah.com, and I have a commercial there just for you. We are still working on my fundraising for my Love is Possible CD. So it's still reaching its goal, and we want to and thank you for your love and support as always. So we are encouraging once again
Mhm.
for our young people to think before they make certain moves. Understand that when you bring another life in the world, that's just what you're doing. You're bringing yourself back because you want your children to emulate you and be your future. So you always want to represent yourself in a very positive way so they have a real example. So just love yourself, know what you're doing, believe in yourself, and just don't let your life be wasted by doing a lot of things that will appear and just make your life be something that it doesn't have to be. Just keep yourself on the right path, the loving path, a perfect path. And as I always say, when you embrace life, life will certainly embrace you back. And we love you, and we thank you for joining us. And coming up next is the awesome um, Tone Duncan from Truth Seekers, bringing you the truth as always. We know we got something good for you this evening. Good evening and have a great, great rest of the evening. I'm Zemrah. Here's the line at IntellectualRadio.com. We must have been dreaming the same good thing. We just hooked up with the powers that be. They hooked up with the power in me. No more unrealistic arrangements. And I've had enough of going through changes. So here it is so good it makes me wonder, why did it take so long to find my thunder? I got it right this time. Ooh,